What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. It's Monday, so you know what time it is, Mock Draft Monday, and we actually have some news this week. Not, the most important of news, because we're still early in the off season, but some things to go over. So we get some news about Miles Sanders, his projected workload. We know that they are looking to add a veteran running back. It looks like it's going to happen. I've seen LaShawn McCoy, Carlos Hyde, Freeman. They're thinking that he's going to be somewhere in that like 15 to 18 touch range, with probably like 3 or 4 of those being receptions each week. Just putting that into context, 18.4 touches per game over the final 8 weeks last season. Now, if he's on the 18 end of that, he's running back 1. If he's on the 15 end, he's more of like a mid-range running back 2. It is going to depend exactly who they decide to add, which of these veteran running backs, because that'll impact his value. I am going to drop him, I think, a little bit, maybe only like 1 or 2 spots, just because it's looking very, very likely that they are going to add someone, and that will put him. I think this is a good estimate, 15 to 18 touches. We're hoping for that 18 again, but it could be closer to 15. So I'm going to drop him a little bit, but not too much. Raheem Mostert, he added some weight, trying to handle the full workload. That's not going to change their plans. They still want to use a committee. They don't want to just give one guy all the ball. But it's interesting to know that he's gearing up for that workload. I'm not changing my rankings at all because, again, I expect them to use a hot hand. But interesting to note, Preston Williams on track for week 1. That's good. We have kind of been wondering that this offseason. He tore his ACL a little bit later in the season, so we were thinking, does he come back week 1? Does he open on the pup? It's looking like he's going to start week 1, and if he does, he's the number 2 in that offense, and he's definitely a sleeper right now. So he's a guy we can target late in this mock draft. The Jets can't wait to unleash Chris Herndon. That's an exact quote. Dude played like 1 quarter last year. I think it was like 18 snaps. So, I mean, what do we really expect? Hopefully he can be healthy. Hopefully he doesn't get suspended, but remains to be seen how good he's going to be. Frank Reich has been quoted as saying, "It would not surprise me if there's a game this season where Nyheim Hines has 10 catches." That's a lot. Obviously that would be like the high end if he's saying it wouldn't surprise me if there's a game, but that's a lot of receptions. So I was thinking, all right, what if they use him in the Eckler role? Like, what would Eckler have done last season if he had no carries? Obviously, Hines is going to get some carries, right? But we know for a fact they're going to be minimal. It's only going to be like 1 or 2 a game. So let's say we take Eckler's work from last season, we take out all of the rushing. Where does he end up? In half PPR, he ends up as the running back 16. So that's pretty interesting because I don't know exactly where Hines is going, but he's going in like, I would say outside of the top 40, maybe closer to 50. Realistically, if this is the role we're expecting from him, is that he's going to have a ton of receptions, he's going to smash that. Now, will he be valuable in fantasy? There's a difference between beating your ADP and being a good pick. Because there's a lot of players who you look at like the running back 60 who are probably going to end up as like the running back 40, but you're never actually going to want them on your team. Hines is kind of like that because he'd need both Mack and Taylor to get hurt to really break out. But if you're in a full PPR league, if you're in a 14-team league, or you went wide receiver heavy and you just need a flex option for some weeks, it's possible that he has a bigger role than people are making it seem. Because if Eckler finishes running back 16 on 0 carries, we know Hines is going to get some. If he has that receiving game work, it'll be interesting if he finishes the season as a running back 2. So I thought I'd point that out. Last bit of news is that Ryan Tannehill has been doing private workouts with Jonnu Smith. Very much like to hear that. I'm thinking Jonnu Smith's going to have a really good season. He's another one of those running backs we can target late. So we're going to bring back something that I believe we started up again on Saturday, and that is the stat of the day. So today's stat: which quarterback led the league in average intended air yards last season? And just, it won't help you at all, but just so that you know, it was 10.7. So an air yard is how much the ball travels in the air. So if you have a 2-yard dump off and the dude takes it to the house 90 yards, it's only 2 yards in the air. Guy chucks it 90 yards, it's 90 air yards. So who's throwing the ball deeper downfield on average last season. So, and that's among qualified. It's not like, the guy had 7 throws. The poll. Last week we did another running back versus wide receiver in the mock draft, and it was Miles Sanders and DK Metcalf versus Mike Evans and David Johnson. 68% of you said that you prefer the Miles Sanders DK Metcalf role. That is the 3rd time now. So we've done some combination of would you rather take a running back or a wide receiver in this spot in the first 3 rounds every single time, and twice in convincing fashion you guys have said give me the running back. And that's just the case this year. You've just, every single time we test it out and we say, what would my team have looked like if I'd gone wide receiver here? It always looks better taking the running back first. Got to keep that in mind when you're doing your drafts. Even if it looks close and you're like, well, maybe there'll be a running back later. Listen, there probably won't be. So you got to take the running back now. And I would agree with this even now. Even saying I'm going to drop Sanders like 1 or 2 spots, I still think it's pretty clear you take Sanders and Metcalf over Evans and David Johnson. So it is time to do the draft. I'm doing a suggested one now. So someone suggested we do full PPR, 12 team, and we're doing 3 wide receivers. This is a very common setup in full PPR leagues, is to have that extra wide receiver spot. So this basically just balances out running back. So if you're looking for a new league setup and you want to try out full PPR, this is a really good setup because running backs are very overpowered in standard. They're still a little bit overpowered in half PPR. If you start doing 3 wide receivers you can start and it's full PPR, you can target wide receivers early, you can target running backs early, you can target them equally throughout the draft. So I think this would be a good one to do, and I don't think we've done very many PPR leagues. And everything else should be the same. And I added back defense. I don't know why in the last mock draft. I must have just accidentally clicked it, just like got rid of defenses, which was weird. I didn't pick a pick. All right, I guess we're doing 5. I forgot. I was going to click random because we've actually done one from every spot, but I guess we'll do 5 now. So this is the draft board. We have seen McCaffrey, Barkley, Michael Thomas, and Alvin Kamara off the board. Yeah, that's like that's what it's going to look like in a PPR league. So our options. At the 5, we can take Adams. I believe that's the only wide receiver you would even consider at this spot. I don't think anyone else has a real case for. And then running back. Take Zeke. That's really it, actually. It would really come down to just Zeke or Adams. Even being a full PPR, even doing 3 wide receivers you can start. Excuse me. I think you basically have to take Zeke when you can. Incredible consistency, and I mean the receptions are still going to be there as well. But now we can lean. Ooh, I think Godwin went right before us. That would have been nice. We can definitely lean wide receiver here. So who comes off the board? We see Dalvin for running backs. We see Dalvin Cook, Mixon, Henry, Eckler goes in the late first. Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, Drake, Chubb, and Jacobs. I feel like that may have just ended that top tier of running back. For wide receivers, we see Hopkins go before Adams. Interesting. Then Juju. Okay. And then Julio and Godwin. A little bit different than we were expecting, I believe. So, pretty obvious what we're actually going to do, but we've got, you could do Fournette. I would probably say your options are Clyde, Carson, Gurley. Clyde, Carson, Gurley are probably what I'd be looking at there. But there's just no way in the world under this setup you would be taking them ahead of Tyreek Hill. So we're just going to lock in Mahomes' favorite weapon. Even though Tyreek does get a downgrade in full PPR leagues, he's Tyreek Hill. Like, his upside is just unmatched. So after, we see the first quarterback go off the board in the early 3rd round with Lamar Jackson. We see both Kelsey and Kittle also go 1 and 2, respectively, in the 3rd round. We see only Fournette get taken running back, and we see Odell, Moore, Golladay, and Evans go at the wide receiver spot, which actually I believe it might end a tier. You could consider Allen Robinson in that tier as well because the receptions are probably going to be there. And I do like Allen Robinson this year, so we might actually go with that pick. For quarterback, you could look at Mahomes here, but I would prefer 4th round for Mahomes. I just don't think you ever need to reach at quarterback this year. So if just let it fall. If you look at the board and you're like, wow, I cannot believe quarterback X is still on the board, that's when you take quarterback. It's not, ooh, maybe he's a good pick here. You got to just love the pick. Again, I think it comes down to what I said before, Clyde, Carson, Gurley. But we already have Zeke, and we only need to start 2 running backs in this league. So I'm tempted to just take this discount on Allen Robinson because it's a pretty nice discount in the 3rd round for him. I don't think there's actually like that massive of a gap between him and who we're going to get in this next round. But since we can start 4 wide receivers and it's a full PPR league, kind of want to lean towards wide receiver here. Maybe this is another decision point we look at. I don't want to do too many running back versus wide receivers early, but this is an option. So if I'm going to take Allen Robinson, if I didn't take him, then I'm honestly thinking I would take Clyde. So we'll see if there's another decision point at running back and wide receiver. And this first one would have been Clyde and Allen Robinson. Because I really think Clyde can have a ton of receptions. He's very good in the receiving game. Has he come off the board yet? He must have. No, he didn't. Okay, so that's interesting. After us, Mahomes goes and Ertz goes. That's it for quarterback and wide receiver. We see a huge run at wide receiver after us. Cooper, Woods, Thielen, Kupp, A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, Cortland Sutton, and Tyler Lockett. And then a running back, Gurley, Gordon, Carson go. Interesting. So I don't know if you guys can kind of see the impact of full PPR right now, but we just saw a stretch of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 wide receivers go off the board, and only Todd Gurley got taken at running back. So we do still see this initial tier of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, of 13 running backs pretty much getting taken where they were before. These are the elite guys. We know they're going to be good. But then it looks like wide receiver gets thrusted into after that because everyone took their running back and now they need, I mean, these are computers obviously, but they follow logic, right? They still follow the assumption that this is 3 wide receivers, this is full PPR, you need to be getting your wide receivers in. Looking at our team, we got Zeke, we got Tyreek Hill, we got Allen Robinson. We're feeling good about both those picks. I don't actually think we need to lean either direction. We do have a pick in, I don't know, what position were we? 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. There'll be 8 players. I don't know why I need to count that. That's pretty terrible. There will be 8 players taken after us. If we assume that it's roughly evenly split, we are still going to get a wide receiver that we like. And we are in the range where they are all the same to me. Parker, Chark, T.Y., Diggs, Green, McLaurin, Metcalf. I would be very happy if I could get 2 of them, but I really want to take a running back here. I want to make sure that we're not going into this with like Zeke and Darius Geis as our 1-2. Like you still need someone in PPR. And given the upside that Clyde has in the receiving game, because like I said, he was one of the best receiving backs in this class. You have to take him. I just think you have to take him there in the 4th round. I don't think that's actually that big of a decision point. Who goes? Waller, Hooper, and no quarterbacks. And then the only running back is Bell. We see Parker, Chark, T.Y., Landry, Green go. But that does mean we still have our option between Diggs, McLaurin, and Metcalf like we thought we would. We can consider Jonathan Taylor at this spot or James Conner. I think those 2, it'd be Jonathan Taylor, James Conner, David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt. Not necessarily like with this pick, but who I would really like to add to this team. I really want Kareem Hunt, and I think he's going to be there at the next pick. I know that there will be, 12? This is bad that I can't even figure these out. 4, 5, 6, 14. There'll be 14 picks taken after us. That's going to be real close with Hunt. But I think I'll still be able to get him. So am going to wait, even though I really want Taylor. But again, thinking about what we did at the beginning of this video with the news, if Hines is going to have all these games with all these receptions, I understand Taylor is probably going to see 200 carries. And like, I like Taylor, but in a full PPR league, that comment makes me hesitant about his receiving upside. Still going to get receptions, but it makes me hesitant about his upside. So I would probably lean Connor in a full PPR league because, I mean, we know the Steelers like to use one back. As much as they say they'll use a committee, they like to use one guy, and they know that Connor's their best back. He's risky, for sure, and I think McFarland is a good running back, but it's his backfield right now. So if we were going to go running back here, we'd go Connor. I think we grab one of these three because I do see a little bit of a drop-off after them. So who do I like between Diggs, McLaurin, and Metcalf in a full PPR league? Oh, goodness. Probably McLaurin, if we're being honest. I know a lot of people probably think the answer is Diggs, but it's not like that's a high-volume passing offense, so I think McLaurin... I would say safety-wise, McLaurin, I'm just 100% sure he's the guy in the passing game of that offense. I believe he's very talented. He left a ton of yards and touchdowns, honestly, on the table last year with just awful throws. I know the quarterback situation is still not going to be good, but Haskins is going to be better than he was last season. And if McLaurin can do what he did last year under that horrible supporting cast at quarterback, it's not getting any worse. It's going to get better. So I think that's a good pick. Let's pull up our team, though. Someone told me, they said something about Hyde. No, there's no way that's how you did it. They took away the sidebar for your team and they put it on the left. I don't like that. I think it should be on the right. If you work for Fantasy Pros, put it back on the right. So, our team right now. We have filled out running back and wide receiver for the starting roster. We still have flex and we still have 6 bench spots, though, so we're not jumping to other positions. Zeke, Clyde, Tyreek Hill, Allen Robinson, Terry McLaurin. Not gonna lie, I really like this team. We do not need to lean any position. We are even across the board, given that you can start extra players at wide receiver. We see 2 quarterbacks go. We see only Mark Andrews go between our picks. Diggs and Metcalf were the next 2 picks after us. We see Tyler Boyd, Deebo Samuel, Julian, Crowder go in the early 6th round, and Brandon Cooks. And then Devin Singletary and Mark Ingram. Okay, that's interesting. So, while there are wide receivers I like Gallup, I like Fuller, I like Marquise Brown. You got to take one of these running backs. We do still have Hunt on the board, but there's no way I'm taking Hunt ahead of Jonathan Taylor and David Montgomery. I hate to say if you wanted to be 100% sure with this pick, take David Montgomery over Jonathan Taylor, but it almost is true because only Cohen is behind Montgomery. He's going to get his 250 touches. He's going to get all the goal line. Problem is, I would not be taking what we saw last season, I'm not taking 2 Bears players to headline my roster, right? Like, even though, like, if you took Allen Robinson and Montgomery last season, like, that was actually fine. Maybe not with the ADP of Montgomery, but, like, I mean, he still actually did produce, especially down the stretch. Those are the 2 you would want if you had 2 players in the Bears. I don't want to do that. I think it adds a lot of weekly risk, especially with how bad that offense could be. And so I'm going to take the guy that I thought I could have had at that last pick in Jonathan Taylor. Again, the receiving upside might not be there, but this is, oh my goodness, and Dave Montgomery and Kareem Hunt are still there. Nice. Like I was saying, the receiving upside might not be there, but he is an unbelievable running back talent. Like, when you guys see this kid, I feel like some people always have this notion that these rookies, well, we don't know how good they're going to be. No, we do. We saw them in college. Like, this isn't their first season playing football. Like, we know Clyde's really good on his incredible offense. We know for a fact that Jonathan Taylor is very, very good on an incredible offense. That's what I want to be targeting. Now, I know some of these running backs have many question marks. Vaughn, a ton of question marks. Absolutely. Dobbins, yeah, I don't know how many touches he's going to get. Sure. But not Taylor and Clyde. Don't be scared to take those guys early because they're in incredible situations and they're very good talents. With all that said, let's look at our team. We got 3-3. It is a full PPR league, so I would say if there were ever a decision, you would want to lean towards wide receiver at this point in the draft. And especially having 3 running backs I'm very confident in would make me lean wide receiver. The problem is, I don't see any sort of real drop-off at the wide receiver spot. I think we can get some really good options in the next round, and I see a big drop-off in guaranteed talent after David Montgomery. So we are going to take him, and now we're definitely leaning other positions. So we got our running backs. I think in a league we only need to start to having Zeke, Clyde, Jonathan Taylor, and David Montgomery. You should be very, very confident in that. You can take probably, I would say 1 to 2 more running backs. I would not want 4 running backs on the bench, especially since one's in our flex. I would say 1, maximum 2 running backs more on the bench, and we're leaning wide receiver. We will look at quarterback very briefly, but a bunch of guys are still available. We will look at tight end if there's a good option, but there is not. I do not feel confident enough in Higbee and Cook ahead of these other guys. Take them. Oh, okay, so we could take Hunt. Maybe this will be the decision point. Because right now, if you're in a full PPR league, you're sitting here and you're like, man, do I really want to take my 5th running back ahead of my 4th wide receiver when I can start 4 wide receivers and it's full PPR? That thought process, you're like, no, I got to just take the wide receiver. But if we're looking at what will be available, is this the long term or the short term? This is the short term. So what's going to be available after 8 people are off the board? Well, at running back, you're in the land of question marks, right? Everyone on here is a question mark, with the only player left that doesn't have question marks being Kareem Hunt, and a guy that I think is being severely undervalued this season. 8th round is just stupid. He should be going much earlier than that. You look at wide receiver. Well, I'm probably, if I had to take a pick here, taking one of CeeDee Lamb, Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams maybe Anthony Miller probably ahead of him, Preston Williams, I might want to wait a little bit. But I honestly feel like one of them is still going to be available. And I know for a fact Hunt won't be. So this is what we'll do with the decision point. We will take Kareem Hunt here. I would have taken CeeDee Lamb. I would have taken CeeDee Lamb with that pick, even knowing that he might still be on the board at the next pick, which I think he is. He is. We're not going to do it 1. We're going to wait. We're going to wait like 2 or 3 rounds, and we'll make the decision then, because obviously, like, I made the correct choice because Lamb is still on the board and Hunt wouldn't have been. But so we'll just take Lamb here. In like 2 rounds, we'll see what would have happened. I honestly think it was the right choice because, yeah, like a bunch of running backs just went off the board, and Dobbins was someone that I was considering at that pick. So, refresh on the team. We only have 3 bench spots left. We still need to take quarterback, tight end, and then defense in the final round. At running back, we have Zeke, Clyde, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, and Kareem Hunt. We only need to take 1 more, and we should definitely wait until we finish the bench. We should be taking wide receivers now. At wide receiver, we have Tyreek Hill, Allen Robinson, Terry McLaurin, and CeeDee Lamb. I'll say we're not like stacked at wide receiver, but I know Lamb's going to get like 100 targets. Like his ADP also is kind of ridiculous right now. They're missing 190 targets over there, and they've filled it with CeeDee Lamb. I mean, it's not like they're giving it to I mean, I know they're going to give it to other players. He's not going to get 190 targets, but we're going to see 3 wide receivers go over 100 targets on that team. Like, they have to go somewhere. Like, these targets don't just disappear, and they're not all going to Tony Pollard and Jarwin, right? Like, I think Jarwin's going to have a really good season, but the targets need to go somewhere. These, I don't get it. I don't get why he's available in the 9th round, especially with how good he is. But anywho, I think we're good at wide receiver, but we need to take them with the next 2 picks. Like I said earlier in the video, Preston Williams, if he's going to be healthy for week 1, he's the number 2. And as much as they've improved as a team, they're still going to be losing games. and he was very good. Remember last season when Parker was going off? There was still a debate if Parker or Williams was the better guy to own in that like early and mid part of the season. And a lot of people were saying Williams, myself included. I thought Williams was the better guy, and he was actually producing really well until he tore his ACL, and then Parker was like the only human left to throw to. Which makes you wonder, should the gap be a little bit closer this season if Williams is going to be healthy? Probably should be. So I really, really like taking him late. Who's another guy? Looking for upside here. We're not looking for someone like Cole Beasley, who is just going to be fine. He's probably going to beat his ADP, but like, who cares? Because you're never going to start him. Who has the upside? N'Keal Harry, Jalen Reagor, Mims, Pittman, Ross. I'm not going to hit show more. There's no way there's someone else. Of those players, it is probably Pittman. I don't know that I want to take two Colts players, but he does have a chance to be like the guy on the outside and like the guy in the red zone. I almost want to lean N'Keal Harry, but he hasn't proven anything. Who do we have at running back? Since I can't decide between those two, or actually, yeah, let's go to tight end. Ooh, Higbee's still there. As much as I don't know the answer to how good will Higbee be this season, I do think they run a lot of 12. So like I think they want to run a committee at running back. I think that they're still deciding between Jefferson and Reynolds, Josh Reynolds, as to who the 3 is going to be, and I think they're going to kind of rotate the 3. But I think they're going to run a lot of 12, which is the 2 wide receivers, which will be Kupp and Woods, running back, and 2 tight ends. So they have Everett and Higbee on the field at the same time. And Higbee crushed it last season. So they're not just going to go to Everett right away. So I don't know, man. I think Higbee could be a really nice value at that spot. Obviously, I usually just wait, but I don't even know that it's worth waiting if I didn't know who I was taking at the wide receiver spot there. Maybe we do the same thing. So, I mean, N'Keal Harry. It does look like he went. So it's only N'Keal Harry and Mims from who I listed before. So maybe we take Harry. That's one option. We have 2 bench spots. Quarterback. Okay. So we can take Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford, Daniel Jones, or Joe Burrow. That would even be a fine pick. Big Ben is honestly in consideration. I do think Matt Ryan is kind of a tier above those guys, but I really like Stafford and Daniel Jones. But Matt Ryan probably should not be on the board in like the late 12th round. And since yet again, I don't really care which wide receiver I get. Maybe we just lock up Matt Ryan. I feel like this team's coming together really nicely. N'Keal Harry gets taken. That's unfortunate. Zach Moss gets taken. We should draft Tony Pollard. Yeah, that would be smart. Because looking at our team, we want to just lock in. Like if Zeke goes down, Tony Pollard is just incredible. I should have taken him with that last pick. I didn't notice that. But you're basically just security. I know I've poo-pooed handcuffs, but there are certain guys you just do it for. Like, if you're going to guarantee me I got one of Zeke or Pollard, I'm not watching those games being really concerned that Zeke's going to get injured. I'm like, okay, it's unfortunate definitely that he got hurt, but at least I have that security of Pollard. So, not that many guys I do it for. I have on the website who I would do it for and kind of like a ranking for how much you need to do it. But he's one that I would do it. And as of right now, with no veteran coming in yet, Boston Scott's another guy I'd do it for. We took the running back, so we do need to take a wide receiver here. And we do want as much upside as possible. I mean, T. Higgins, technically, if A.J. Green got hurt again, would be the one. So there's upside there. Jalen Reagor, I think, is awesome. I don't know that I would say he has as much upside, though. He'd need a lot of injuries. So, and yeah, there's nothing we really need there. Okay. we'll take T. Higgins. I would say that's the first pick where I'm not like pumped about it. But again, that's just pure upside. And to be quite frank, that's a pick where I'm perfectly comfortable dropping him because every single year you get your DJ Charks and your Terry McLaurins that in the beginning of the season you're like, oh my goodness, and AJ Brown, you're like, these guys, I had no idea this was going to happen. They need to be owned. Well, T. Higgins will be the guy that I drop to pick one of them up. Defense, haven't done any research into that yet, so we'll just take the Saints. You better give me a good score. I thought this was a good draft. 95. Nice. Not that we care about the score, but I think this was a good draft. So, there's the team. We'll run through it. Matt Ryan. Remember, full PPR. Matt Ryan, Ezekiel Elliott, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, Allen Robinson, Terry McLaurin, Higbee, Jonathan Taylor, and the Saints. That's the starting roster. And the bench, David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt, CeeDee Lamb, Preston Williams, Tony Pollard, and T. Higgins. Again, I think the only player I'm not pumped about on that bench is T. Higgins. I think the rest were exceptional. I like this team. So whoever suggested this, if you're drafting from the 5 spot, try and do this. I think that's a really nice way to build the roster. Take your running back early and then kind of just flip-flop between running back and wide receiver in those middle rounds, tight end, quarterback late, fill out the bench accordingly. So that'll do it for this video. I hope you all did enjoy. If you did, how about hitting the like button? And how about subscribing to the channel if you're new? Thanks for watching.